And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Varsity Link Coaches Corner. Tonight, broadcasting live from the Office Lounge in downtown Toms River. Kevin Williams, Bob Batters, and Ed Sarluca, as always, talking Shore Conference High School football for the next 60 minutes or so. Tonight, our focus team is the Wildcats, or are the Wildcats. My English teacher would kill me for that. Wildcats of Pinelands Regional. We'll be focusing in on them and talking with their coach, John Tierney, and a couple of their outstanding seniors, Mike Hall and Ryan Allen. We'll be doing that in a bit, and we're excited to talk Wildcat football because it's really been a very, very good fall for the team from Tuckerton, and they've opened a lot of eyes this season, and they'll be playing tomorrow night, which we'll talk about as well. But here we are. I can't fathom, and I always say this, I'm old school, I admit it. I mean, we're sitting here before Halloween and the playoffs are starting. It just, I don't know, doesn't seem right.
It's an adjustment, but look, we're playing down to overall state champions now, so you have that extra week. So, got to start a week earlier. Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. You're right, because like you always said, played in high school, the first game wasn't even until the third week of September. You didn't start practice till school started. So, yeah, just a different era of high school football, but I'm excited for the playoffs and what they're going to bring.
Sectional finals will be in 2 weeks. We'll be talking sectional finals.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's crazy.
And what do we have? We have 21
Shore Conference public schools. The non-publics, they're a week behind. So those two brackets, non-public A and B, are seeded by a committee. So they'll convene after this weekend's games.
Right?
Sunday. So for us, that's St. John Vianney and Donovan Catholic in non-public A, Red Bank Catholic non-public B, and we'll see where those teams line up.
Some of those teams are actually playing this weekend. They picked up games.
Two of them are RBC hosting Curtis of New York and St. John Vianney hosting St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah. So 21 Shore Conference teams taking part in the public school playoffs, and then there are a few in the regional invitational tournament, including Pinelands, which we'll talk about, obviously, when we get Coach Tierney up here. But as we get to this point, I just want to take a quick look back on last weekend, Bob. I was at Donovan Catholic Middletown South on Friday night, really impressed with Middletown South. I've just by coincidence, I've seen them 3 times this fall, and to me, they're a team that's getting better, and as playoffs begin and has a top seed in their section. And it was a 17-6 game, but Middletown South was clearly the better team on Friday night. You, by the way, ventured to?
I was in Matawan, and a quick comment on the Eagles. They've played really well. They have the one loss on the season. That's the number one Red Bank Catholic. The Middletown South defense traditionally is excellent, and it's been everything and more this season. And their offense has really gotten going these last couple of weeks. They have a big physical offensive line. They've leaned on that. They've run the ball extremely well, and they did it with success against a Donovan Catholic defense that is led by that defense. That's his strength. Donovan's talented, really young offensively. That defense is one of the best in the Shore. Middletown South played really well. I was up in Aberdeen to see Matawan clinch their division title. They beat Barnegat 27-12, win the Liberty division title. So Matawan, one of the traditional Shore Conference powers, 6 sectional titles, I believe, to their credit in program history. They get another division title, first one since I believe it was 2010. And they're back in the playoffs for the first time in 8 years. So a young team, but their head coach, Jay Graber, who won a sectional title when he was the head coach at Allentown, he's got the Huskies back winning football. And that's going to be a team that in a couple years, I think, is back, and maybe even next year, back in the top 10, and a team we're talking about competing for championships.
Yeah, it took Graber, this is his 4th year, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. And it took him a little while to get that program back on track from the Martucci years, and he does have it going. He came in as a very reputable coach from Allentown. A lot of people were looking for him to get into the Shore Conference. Mm-hmm. He finally got his job, and he's turned the program around.
Yeah, they're playing well.
Key victory for Matawan this season to win that division was against this Pinelands team, and what some have said is as good a game as there was all season long. And again, we'll save that for Coach Tierney. We don't need.
You're not going to ask him about that.
Sure, I am.
Victory, are you?
Absolutely.
That loss.
Absolutely. I thought what was interesting last week was for the first time this fall, somebody kind of shut down the Point Borough offense.
Yeah.
It was St. John Vianney
Yep.
who lost to the Panthers 19-13 in overtime, led for a good portion of that game.
And they did on the scoreboard, which is the most important place. I mean, Point Borough still ran for right around 300 yards or close to that.
Without their star running back.
Well, without one of them, and there's
One of
senior
them, yeah.
Connor Soleno,
Right.
their slot back coming around on pitches. I think is averaging something like 20 yards a carry.
Exactly.
this
It's
year.
a big part
They
of their
missed him, but
offense.
again, St. John Vianney played really well. It was a 19-13 overtime victory for Point Borough. Jay Croce with the game-winning touchdown. So yeah, Vianney again right there playing extremely well. That was a game where, on paper, you look at the results and you'd say, hey, Point Borough probably should win this game and should run away with it. But I think we all knew St. John Vianney is a tough team and a team that is, capable of doing what they did, and that was Point Borough's biggest test. Now the Panthers passed that, and now they're going to say that's exactly what we needed going to the playoffs. We needed a tough game. We had to dig deep and play 4 quarters because let's face it, going back to probably the Manasquan game, has Point Borough's starters played into the fourth quarter?
No,
Probably not much,
not at all.
if at all. So a really good win for the Panthers to remain undefeated and also win that division title. They are the Independence Division champions.
Listen, I just want to say this. 2 weeks ago, Point Borough coach Brian Staub was on when we were here, and I asked him a question. Are you a little bit concerned about your team if you're in the fourth quarter of a game that's up for grabs, how you'll handle that? And, of course, he said no, and he got that, as you said, he got that. That can only help you in the playoffs when you see better competition.
Absolutely, and they proved them right. I mean, they had to win a game where they had to – it was a playoff atmosphere, playoff-style game, and there was a lot on the line, too. I mean, St. John Vianney wins that game. You're talking about 3-way ties and whatnot for the division title. So a big one for the Panthers on the road.
And the other team that is sort of in the same boat is Toms River North, okay, playing in the big division, South Jersey Group 5. They have been untested except for the game 1 in which they played at Ocean City. They played Washington Township and won it by 1 touchdown. Since then, it's been Katie bar the doors, They've scored 50 or more just about every game.
Averaging 50 points a game.
And what happens now in the playoffs? Second round, guess who they get?
Well, it could be.
Could be Washington Township.
Could be Marlboro, but that's potentially a rematch there as well.
Right.
You match with the Mariners, Colonial Division champions. Middletown North is a good team. Saw them 2 weeks ago against Ocean. Toms North won 50-6. So the Mariners are rolling, but as they know and as they said when they came on, it's all about the playoffs. So what happens these next handful of weeks is really going to define Toms North the season. But there's no question that that's a team that, you expect them to win a sectional title, certainly at least be in the final, and then they're right there as far as overall Group 5 goes.
A team I want to kind of throw some plugs for. We actually honored them this week as our Jersey Mike's Team of the Week. You use the word, and you've been saying it for a couple of weeks, resilient. Marlboro has dealt with a lot of tough circumstances, including losing their quarterback and leader, A.J. Schwartz, to a leg injury early in the season after they got off to a 3-0 start. They could have easily folded up. Well, this team has fought back, won a huge game against Colts Neck last week, breaks into the top 10, has got a home playoff game on Saturday. I mean, you just got to give them a lot of credit.
Extremely impressive, Marlboro. I mean, this is a program that last season had a good year. Were 5-3 at the cutoff. Thought it would be enough to get in, but that last week of the regular season, they lost to Jackson, ended up missing the playoffs. It was a good year, but it was a little bit disappointing because they felt like they deserved to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So now you fast forward this year, you're 3-0. You're rolling. You're looking like you compete for a division title. Your starting quarterback gets hurt. You lose the game he gets injured in. You lose the next two. All of a sudden, you're 3-3, and now the playoffs are slipping away. So what do? They beat 2 of their biggest rivals, a Manalapan team they hadn't beaten 28 years. They beat them on a last-second field goal. Then they come back and beat a Colts Neck team that's number 7 in the short, won 6 in a row. They hold them to under 100 yards. They hold an 1,100-yard running back to 30 yards rushing, and they win the game to get in the playoffs. First time in the playoffs since 1999. When Dan Klecko, future Super Bowl champion, was playing for them. and now they get the first home game in the playoffs since 1994 when they won their only sectional championship. So really a feel-good story for Marlboro, and again, they'll get a chance to move on against a tough Washington Township team on Saturday.
Another team that had a tough one, Ocean Township.
Yeah, they were in a battle.
They were in a big battle. Kept their undefeated record intact by winning their 8th game, and that was a good. Was it overtime?
No,
it was regular.
22 over Red Bank Regional.
Right.
That's an RBR
Who's
team.
coming on? Red Bank's coming on.
They're
It's
playing
a
well
good-
under
good
Shane
football
Fallon for
team.
sure. They had
Yeah.
won 4 in a row, and through 3 quarters, that was all RBR. And then this is why it helps to have a player like Tyler Douglas. And
Yeah.
that was a team we had on earlier in the year. And, when you have that guy and you need a big play, you can count on him. And what do they do? 47-yard touchdown with under a minute left, and they win by 4 points.
As someone said to me who was at that game, they were really even. Ocean just happened to have the best player on the field.
And that is – talk about difference makers.
Yeah.
He is a difference maker.
He's without
no question about it.
Real quick, the Jeep Store top 10, some shuffling more towards the bottom, but Middletown South makes the big move, goes from 5 to 3 after beating Donovan Catholic. So it's RBC, Toms River North. What else is new? They've been there since it seems like 5 years ago. Middletown South, Point Borough, Donovan Catholic, Ocean, Raritan, St. John Vianney, Jackson Memorial, and Marlboro are the 2 newbies in the top 10. They replace Rumson and Colts Neck, who lost last week. And the watch out for is Manawan and Manasquan. Manasquan really coming on now that they have Brett Patton, their quarterback, back.
And real quick on that, tough to drop Rumson and Colts Neck out because I feel like they're top 10 teams.
Yeah.
But I feel like we probably have 12 or 13 top 10 teams. So it's just kind of doing your best, going off the recent results and trying to reward teams coming off wins. It's tough. St. John Vianney loses, they move up 2 spots. Just kind of the nature of the head-to-heads there. But some really good competition in that back half. A couple other teams, big wins. Lacey over Southern got the Lions into the playoffs.
That was a big
Lacey,
win.
Kind of a team we forgot about early in the season. They hadn't been playing well, but they've played pretty well these last couple weeks and enough to get into the playoffs. And how about Asbury Park? A lot going on with the Blue Bishops this season. Season opening game was canceled. They didn't have players. They had the situation with the game against Keensburg was canceled. They turned around. They beat Shore Regional. They earned the number 2 seed in the playoffs, and they forced a tri-division championship there. So Asbury Park, Keyport, Shore Regional all sharing that Patriot Division title.
By the way, Top 10 Tuesday is brought to you by the Jeep Store in Ocean Township. Check out thejeepstore.com. Last week I met, was it your salesman, Ed?
Yes. Who's the GM
The
now?
GM from the Jeep Store.
Yes.
Kevin Hansen.
Yeah, met him last week at the Donovan Catholic game. Tried to get him to give Ed a car. He said no.
Well, let's
He's got
face
enough
it.
already,
We've got 2 or 3 or 4 different different Jeeps. We probably paid his salary.
You might have. I only have one.
I meant between all of
Ed's
us.
rolling with the whole family. Whole Star Luca family's got every one.
I said, can you give Ed a car? And he said, what would you like your payment to be? There we go. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, it's all about Pinelands Regional. The Wildcats were nice enough to bring a nice contingent all the way up here from Southern Ocean County, and we're going to talk about the good season they've had and 3 games that they might still be having on their schedule, which they'd be very happy to. We'll do that right after this. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. And we are back on the Varsity Link Coaches Corner here on the Shore Sports Network, brought to you by our friends at Varsity Link. If you are a high school athlete of any level, of any kind, of any sport, make sure you download the Varsity Link app. It is free. It's a great social networking tool for athletes, and it's also a chance for you to put your stuff up there that might be helpful when colleges come looking. That's varsitylink.com. We are here at the Office Restaurant and Lounge. I went for the chicken salad sliders. A nice touch.
It looked like you enjoyed
Yeah,
them.
very good. I didn't have lunch today. I felt like I wanted to have something, and it was a nice thing. And I've always been a fan of the Office Lounge macaroni salad. It's absolutely tremendous. So, all right. So anyway, those are the important things. Here now, we are delighted to welcome in John Tierney. We've known John, all of us, for a long, long time. He's been a fixture around the Shore Conference, and this year he gets to be the head coach at Pinelands, and seems like it was a pretty good move by the administration because the Wildcats have had a really good fall for a school that has not had a lot of success on the gridiron. They are 5-3. As we were saying before the show, they were a couple of points away from being 7-1 and winning a division title, but they fielded a very, very competitive team, a team that has won 4 in a row and will go for number 5 when they take on Triton Regional tomorrow night in Tuckerton in the regional tournament, which we'll talk about in just a second. But, Coach, thank you so much for coming on the show and bringing such a great contingent of Pinelands Regional Boosters.
Thank you, everybody, for having me. And the one thing about Pinelands is the support down there is 100% amazing, and our games are just phenomenal to watch.
Go ahead, Bob. I'll save mine for next.
Go ahead.
So we talked a lot in the summer, and you've wanted to be a head coach, I know, for a long time. And you've coached at Pinelands. You've been assistant at Pinelands, assistant at Lacey. You've coached at a bunch of different places. So now that we're, a few months into the season, just how exciting has it been, not only getting in and kind of forming things the way you want it to look, but you get into the season, and like Kevin said, when you guys are winning, you're playing great football. You're 5-3. It's the most wins the program's had in 10 years, and it just seems like there's a lot of excitement around the Pinelands Wildcats football.
There's always been a lot of excitement. It's just the winning brings more people out. I had a bunch of alumni at the Manchester game this week, guys I haven't seen since 2007, 2008. They're coming back. But it's kind of surreal, but I'm very lucky because I had a great bunch of seniors who really bought into what we need to do at Pinelands to create a winning culture and create a winning program.
John, let's talk a little bit about your trip to the head job, okay? When did it start, and when did you get it? In the winter?
I got January 24th.
Okay, January 24th. First thing you did.
I had a meeting with the kids, and I put up a picture of our stadium packed, and I said that if you want it like this, the work starts now. And like I said, our weight room went from having 2 or 3 guys into it to I think one day we had 50, 55 kids in there. And the seniors were the ones who were bringing guys in, and we got some great workouts in, and they sweated next to each other. And once you do that, you just start bleeding.
Got them. Yep, you got them. And then I'm sure you went right to the staff. Tell us a little bit about who that staff is.
Well, number one, my defensive coordinator I'll put up against anybody. Joe Adelizi is phenomenal. He's going to outwork anyone, any coach I've ever seen before. The guy watches more film. I think this week he logged in like 13, 14 hours.
But the problem is he's not enthusiastic.
No, and I have to tell him on game day that he has to dress up or something. But no, his game, he's great for the kids. He's great to be around. We bounce ideas off one another. It's just awesome. I have a former player on there, Mike Keller and Gennaro Belletta. Coaching with those guys, it's just like, wow, I coached them, and now to see where they are, and that I had hopefully had some type of influence on there. Scott Paterka, who's our offensive line coach, does a great job. Vinny Laverty, who sort of fell to us from college. He was at a college job and just wanted to get out of college, and we were able to get him a job in the building, and he's been phenomenal with our defensive backs. George Martin, who played there, coaches our defensive line. Mike will tell you he gets after him every single day, and Vemba Bukla's around, and it's just great that you have Pinelands alumni that are coming back and showing these kids like what can happen.
Talked about building a winning culture. How important was it in winning your season opener against Point Beach? I think again that all 3 of us picked Point Beach to win, which again shows you how smart we are.
It was important, but if you're around the program, it's not always about the outcome. It's about how you get there. But it did give the kids a little bit of light. It was a big help when we went. We wound up losing 3 straight, 2 tough games. But, we have another alumni, Joe Introna, who comes down, and he talks about the family program. And he's sort of a motivational speaker for our guys. And what family stands for is forget about me, I love you, doing selfless acts. And right after the Mattawan game, he came in and talked to the kids, and it just seemed to get us going back in the right direction.
One thing that stands out to me about your team this year and how you've gotten to the point where you're 5-3 is consistency. Your 3 losses, 2 of them came by 1 point. The other one was by a touchdown. So I'm sure that's frustrating in that sense. But
keeps me up at night.
You guys have been – the only games that are not been competitive are games where you've blown out teams. I mean, you guys have been in every single game. Your defense has played great. But that week-to-week consistency, how important has that been in being able to sustain the success from one week to another?
It's extremely important. And I mean, basically you can come to our practice and you can tell what time it is by how what we're doing in practice. Mm-hmm. We always do defense first, then we go to offense. We'll, Mondays and Tuesdays we lift first, and then we go out to the practice field. And it's one thing I learned from Coach Taj is just keep everything going the same so the kids know what to expect. And I think it's paid off, tremendously for us.
You say Taj, that's Taj Holden?
Yes.
The head man at Rainey basketball, where you've been very successful there.
Yes, we have been. We've been blessed with great players, and it's just, it's basically just, go out there, teach the kids what to do and go out and play.
John, I think Bob maybe said in the introduction, you've been around, you've coached in various places, you've wanted to be a head coach. I'm wondering if you almost feel like getting it now, where you are in your life, your career, you've been at Pinelands, you're a little bit older, might have been a blessing as opposed to getting a job 5 or 10 years ago. That might be a stupid question, but I'm just wondering.
No, and you're 100% accurate on that, because I don't think the times I tried to go for a head coaching job before, I was ready for it. And it's just, again, the perfect storm. I think I'm mature enough, but I'm still young enough that I can relate to the kids, the players, but I'm mature enough that I can get things done that needs to be done with the administration, with the parents, and it's the perfect timing. And you don't look at the past; you only look at the future. That's why they make rearview mirrors so small.
I just want to follow up with kind of a part 2, and I ask this of a lot of head coaches. What we don't see, a lot of the stuff that goes on. You can't do this job without having great support at home. It's impossible. Football is now a 12-month sport. There is no off season. It's just a matter of shifting focus from one thing to the next. It's not September 1st to Thanksgiving like it used to be in my days and Ed's days. But you have to have that support system in place.
Yeah, my wife is here right now, Kathy over there. She's having dinner with our family. But I think she's been to more football games this year than I have. We have a son playing in college. We have another son that plays at Central, and she somehow manages all scheduled. She gets to where she needs to. I think one night she went to 2 games, and then she drove up to New Hampshire to watch a football game up there the next day. And she'll be the first one to question me. She came off after the Jackson Liberty game and said, "Why didn't you kick the extra point?" I was like, thanks. So she knows football. She loves football. When me and Coach Adelies are outside breaking down film, she comes, watches, and she wants to learn as much about the game as possible. And it's pretty cool.
So
Very cool.
We got 2 of your players coming on a little bit, Ryan Allen and Mike Hall. And we'll talk in depth about those guys a little more when they come up. But, that's 2 leaders for you, 2 super important seniors. And we'll start with Ryan on offense. I mean, he's, there's games when you guys have run the ball, for 200, almost 300 yards. There's other games when you've needed him to do some big things through the air. And it seems like he's giving you everything you've needed this year. 811 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, averaging 6.5 yards a carry on the ground. I mean, what has he meant to you guys in terms of, that position of leadership?
He thinks the game really well, and he wants to be he's going to play at the next level, and it's almost like he's going to become a coach because he asks all the questions and he wants to know why we're doing stuff, not in a bad way, but in a really good way. And the fact that he can run the ball a little bit, you see the games now, it just opens up the entire offense for us. And all preseason long, I told him, "You're not running the football. You're not running the football. We're saving it." And the first play of the game, he took off for a 76-yard on our power read play. And they had no idea that he was even able to run the football.
And then on the defensive side of the ball, Mike Hall, has been a terror all season. He was our Ocean County Sports Medicine Player of the Week last week. Had that fumble return for a touchdown that ended up being the game-winning points. And again, he's got some huge numbers, 4 sacks, in the backfield a ton. When you have that kind of disruptive play on your line, it can really set the tone, huh?
And he just brings the energy, and while he brings the energy, he also has this, great smile about him. When, things are going a little tough, he'll sit there and he'll smile at the defense, and he knows he has everything under control. But, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time situations, and that's exactly what he did against Monmouth. And wherever he goes, they're going to be lucky to have this young gentleman.
He's smiling right now because he just had something to eat. That's why. He's a happy dude right now. All right, John, let's in the revamped state playoffs, which we're not going to spend a lot of time on with you. You guys missed out on making the playoffs, but there's something new this year called the Regional Invitational Tournament. And in South Group 3, you are the number 2 seed in the bottom half of the bracket. It's an 18 bracket, and you're in the bottom half. And you get to play football again. Tomorrow night, you will host Triton Regional. And if you are successful, the following week, you would get the winner of the Pemberton-Barnegat game. I know coaches never. First of all, tell us a little bit about Triton Regional, what you've been able to find out.
So we lucky enough, we got a lot of film on Triton. They have a very good tailback. He rushed for 1,300 yards last year. I think he has 800 this year coming into the game. They have a very good quarterback, and their defense is very stingy. They look big up front. I can't get heights or weights. We tried to, but we couldn't get them. Can't find them anywhere online. But it's going to be another battle, and they're a lot like us. They lost 2 games by 2 points, and then they won a game or 2 by 2 points. But it's just the last 2 weeks they were a little bit overwhelmed. But they're a team that's going to fight. They were predicted to win their division, and they wound up finishing 5. And that's sometimes the way it goes. But I know that their seniors don't want it to be their last football game, and neither do ours. So it should be a great battle.
I think the key words there that you said at the beginning was you host Triton.
We do.
You
That's
do
about
not,
an hour and a half
I
ride.
was going to say, you don't let them make the trip.
Yeah.
And
I know one time we went out to Highland Regional, and it's just a tough place to get to.
That
especially
Black
on
Horse
Thursday.
School District, man, with Timber Creek and Highland and Triton, that's a drive.
I am very glad that we get to host in front of our fans, and
that's key.
Our fans are going to be pumped up tomorrow.
What I would do is have your athletic director tomorrow tell their athletic director there's some road closures. I'm going to give you new GPS coordinates, and they'll end up like somewhere, right? Will they'll end up somewhere in like with the Jersey Devil or something like that.
They'll come down on 542.
Send them down to Poor Man's Parkway over there. We'll be all good.
All right, so the future is tomorrow night, but I just want to ask you this. Is this a one-year resurrection, or do you believe you've now established, or you are close to establishing a program that can be a consistent factor in the Shore Conference?
So I'll say this. If our juniors have the type of leadership that our seniors did, then 100%. Our seniors had such great leadership, and they left a great path to follow for our juniors. And then our sophomores come up, and we're blessed to have 7A football down there. We have 60 kids in the 7A football program who just won today. So hopefully it just keeps going and going and going. But you got to put the work in. If we sit back and say, oh, we were 5-3 this year, and we had our first winning season, and our weight room is empty, then no. But if our weight room is packed, come January, 100%.
Pinelands has not had a winning season since 2004. It has been a long time, but things have turned around in Tuckerton.
They really have. And real quick before we let you go, so Pinelands all the way down, exit 58 in the Parkway, furthest school south in the Shore. And you have Modern Day, since closed, all the way up in Middletown. You're not going to think there's going to be too many corresponding things between those football programs, those schools. But there is. You were an all-shore lineman at Modern Day.
Yes.
Your head coach was Craig Sicardo.
Yes.
Craig Sicardo led Pinelands to the playoffs, in that winning season back there in
2004.
I did write it down. Yeah, 2004. So it's an interesting little, quirk there of that. So Sicardo obviously leading Pinelands. You played for him. It's an odd little fact of trivia there.
And Coach sees the reason I'm down at Pinelands. He called me one time. I got done playing, and he said, I was working for my parents. He said, you want to come down here and coach? And I got in my car every day for an hour and 10 minutes and drove down. And at the time, it was like, wow, I'm making $5,000. This is the best job ever. This is the greatest gig of all time. But I mean, everything a lot of things I do is because of him. He was a great leader. He was a great mentor, and to be able to he texted me after the Manchester game last week, and to be able to live in the same shoes he did is pretty cool.
It's funny where life takes you, because you're in high school. You probably had no idea about Pinelands High School in Tuckerton, did you?
Well, my sister played soccer, and back in the late 80s, early 90s, Pinelands and Monterey were in the same division.
In the Class C, right?
Class
Yeah.
C, so I took a couple trips down there.
So
but I
there
was
you
like,
go.
where is this place? I thought it was Delaware.
Just head towards Atlantic City and
Look at that.
get off a few exits before.
And now you're leading a 5-3 team with packed student section on every Friday night. Pretty cool, huh?
It's pretty awesome. And, the staff has been great. Everybody coming up to me saying, what a great job we're doing, how great the kids are. And, one thing about all of our kids is they're getting it done in the classroom, they're getting it done in the building. We've had very little problems this year, which is to me, is a great correlation between success on the football field and success in the classroom.
You love to hear it.
Well,
can't beat winning.
we're gonna bring Mike and Ryan up. John, I just want to say thank you very much. I have an apology to make, a correction. You're not gonna believe this. I made a mistake.
A mea culpa, if you will.
I wrote that this was the first time Pinelands has ever been on this show, and it was not. When Brian Wilkinson was the coach, we did the show down in Bayville at what used to be Martell's, is now B2 Bistro.
Yes.
And they had ended like a 22 or 23 game losing streak, and we had him on the show. He even reminded me that he gave Ed and I T-shirts. Ed says his is in
paid
his
us
car
off.
somewhere.
Paid us off.
But this is only the second time in all the years we've been doing this, and we were really happy, John, to get you on and congratulate you on all the good things that have happened, and wish you great success tomorrow night. Love to see you win that game in advance and maybe get another shot at Barnegat next week.
Yeah, thank you guys very much for having us. It's great for the program. It's great for the kids. And, going forward, hopefully we're on here a lot more.
Couple of Wildcat seniors coming up. You're watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. And we are back at the Office Lounge and Restaurant in Toms River. It's the Week 9 episode of the Varsity Link Coaches Corner here on the Shore Sports Network. We're talking playoffs. We're talking Pinelands Regional Football, and we'll get to more of that in just a second. But first, our sponsor, Varsity Link. If you don't know what Varsity Link is, it's the athlete social media network. To oversimplify it, think a combination of LinkedIn, Instagram, professional, but still able to connect with your friends, teammates, and whatnot. So make sure you go to varsitylink.com, check it out, download their app on the App Store, wherever you download the apps for your particular device. It's just a great tool for athletes to help in the recruiting process. So make sure you go check those guys out. Right now, we're joined by two of Pineland's outstanding seniors. To my right, senior Mike Hall, and to my left, over there next to Ed, Ryan Allen. And these guys have been instrumental in the Wildcats' success this season. As we talked with head coach John Tierney, they're 5-3. Going into the regional tournament, where they hope to extend their season. And first of all, guys, Michael, start with you. Thanks for coming down and joining us. It's been a really good year for Pinelands, one of the best years you guys have had in a while. And I'm sure the attitude is, hey, let's keep it going. So just how about to where you are now, 5 wins, and I'm sure you guys are looking forward to this Thursday and trying to add another one to that.
Yeah, we are really looking forward to this Thursday. We lucked out on having another game, and we lucked out on having it home. So we're just looking to just play how we've been playing the last 4 games and just move on from there.
Yeah, Ryan, 5-game winning streak, and now you get another, playoff type game. I know not a state playoff game, but you guys are treating it like the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're at home in front of your fans, which always bring the noise. So how excited are you guys for tomorrow night? Get another game, especially as seniors.
Yeah, it's awesome to actually play for something. The past years, we did not play for any playoff games or something. Now we got something to play for, so we're all excited. The fans are excited. The school's excited. It's pretty good.
Ryan, let's talk about mid-season, 28-27 overtime loss to Mattawan.
Yeah.
How tough was it coming back to practice that Sunday or Monday, and getting the team ready? doesn't seem like it's too much of a problem because you've won 4 straight since.
Yeah, I got injured on the last play actually,
Right.
so I did not play, but I was definitely at practice. We were all a little down, but ever since then we won 4 straight, and we're ready to extend that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys really responded well. As Ed said, you started off, you won your first game against Point Beach, 19-14, and then the 3 straight losses. But 3 losses, the one to Mattawan overtime by 1 point, lost to Barney by 1, lost St. John Vianney, lost to Toms River East by 8. So even though you guys had lost 3 in a row, like Mike, was there that feeling that, I mean, we're really close. We're right in these games. Just a matter of coming out, finding a way to get a win and turn it around quickly. I mean, was there still confidence within the team despite the losses?
Yeah, after watching film from the games and stuff, we just realized that we're just one block away. We're just one read away from winning those games. So now we just corrected everything, touched up a little things, and now we're on a 4-game winning streak.
And to me, that's huge because, again, this isn't a program that's had like a huge amount of success over the years. So you don't have that built-in tradition of, respond to adversity and expectations. But again, you guys turned a 1-3 season into where now you guys are 5-3 and playing really well. So what did that tell you about the group that you guys are able to have that mental fortitude and shake off a tough loss and come back with some wins?
It all starts with family. Forget about me, I love you. We all just connect as a brotherhood, and we just realize that we're in this together. We bleed, sweat, tears together. That it's just that we know that we're just so close to becoming that perfect team that we could be. So we just, after tough losses, we just on to the next week.
Mike, you love to play defense, don't you?
Yeah, I love defense.
You'd like him, former defensive coordinator.
So, you're on the edge, right?
Yeah.
2-point stance or 3?
Depends on the defense.
Okay, so you mix it up a little bit.
Yeah.
When coach says, okay, you got one job, get the quarterback. You like to do that too, right?
Yeah.
4 times, 4 sacks so far this year?
Yeah.
Okay, tell us a little bit about some of your teammates next to you and behind you.
Starting off with sophomore Anthony Aguano. It's being a sophomore and playing up varsity. It's tough being a starting varsity player, but he's owned up to it. He earned his position, and he's having a pretty good season. I have we flip-flop our tackles. Senior Ryan Cox, junior Tyler Glass, senior Andrew Hoffman. They're all just run stoppers, clog the hole. And then we have junior Ethan Woods also. He was our kicker last year. He really didn't play defense, but he's starting to get used to the position now, so he's having himself a good season as well.
And you guys have, one of, I think, the more underrated players, a player that people probably don't know a lot about, but has a, last year was really good, and this year again, and that's Liam Villinger, your linebacker. I mean, he's a tackling machine. He's already got over 100 tackles.
Yeah.
And obviously you guys you're helping him out, clogging up some blocks. But when you have a linebacker behind you that is just going to make those tackles, just how important is that for your overall defensive scheme?
It's very helpful to the D-line because it puts less pressure off of our shoulders because we know the guys behind us can just do their job and read their keys and just do what they have to do to make the tackles. Like Liam, for example, that kid is one hell of a player.
Yeah.
He is a tough, physical, just overall good player. And I took him under my wing last year, and just now he's just grown to be probably top player in the shore.
Yeah, he's good. One more quick, I know Ed's got some questions. We know all the top players. I mean, you guys get your names in the recaps and stats and whatnot, but on the defensive side, who's a player that probably is not going to get, some pub, but is a really underrated player that you guys know is really important to what you do?
My brother.
Makai?
Yeah, middle linebacker.
Tell me about some of his skills and what he brings to the defense.
He brings energy, physical. Like, he wasn't really used to playing linebacker, but I knew that he was the right guy for the job since we lost our senior linebacker, Jack O'Brien, after our first scrimmage. And then we lost our other linebacker, Devontae, so I'm like, we struggled for a little bit, and then I'm like, ads. Put Makai there. He's big, physical, strong. He now he gets the job done. He's racked up I think 50 something tackles already, and he's only been playing for 6 games.
That's great.
Wow.
So
It's always good to see players step up.
Ryan, tell us a little bit about the school and how the kids have bought into, not the team, but the students in the school. I'm sure you said you packed the stadium. I mean, you must have a student section, right?
Oh yeah.
What do they call?
They're crazy.
What are they?
What are we? The litter box?
Litter.
Litter box. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you get behind it with the camouflage, the black, the white,
Oh, yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they always bring the energy. I feel like even before we were doing good and winning, they still brought the energy every time. But now that we're winning, it's making everything more just crazy, more advanced. The stands are packed, the bleachers are packed. It's nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Offensively, you guys have, sneaky good weapons. I think people don't realize. I mean, yourself, we talked about 4 over 1,100 combined yards. Your sophomore running back, Jamin Parkinson, depending on how many games you guys play more. I mean, even, tomorrow he's got a chance to hit 1,000 yards rushing on the season. And then Mike Frawley has been your top target. And I know Stephen Borden is a playmaker, had a 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. For you as a quarterback, when you guys are going to run the ball, if it's a team that's taking everything away in the air, you can run it. If you need to throw it, you can. How big has that been that your offense is multidimensional and you have a bunch of different guys that can make plays?
It's awesome to know that I have playmakers all around the field. Like if I miss a throw or something, I got a receiver that can go up there and get a jump ball. I got Jamin who's able to run. He's a sophomore, so being a sophomore running back is really rough. It's just a tough job, and he's running. He's getting the gritty 3-4 yards that we need. We can't have a bunch of passes in the air and then not run the ball. We can't run the ball and then pass. We got to change it up and all that, and it worked out really well.
Okay, Mike, I got some hard-hitting questions for you now.
We've
Okay?
reached that point of the program.
Who's the toughest guy on the team? You can't say yourself, by the way. Who's the toughest guy? I mean, who goes at it in the weight room?
I'd say Quasi. I'd say Quasi.
Yeah, Quasi's tough.
Quasi
So
good.
Who's that?
Quasi good is our sophomore D tackle.
Okay.
Wow, sophomore.
Getting
He's a
after it in
leader.
the weight room?
Yeah.
I'd love to see it.
Okay, how about the funniest guy? Who's that?
Funniest guy? I'd say Michael Frawley.
Frawley.
He's always got a joke or something.
Yeah,
He
there
always
you go.
makes practice
You
fun.
need a guy like
Yeah.
that, don't you?
Yeah, you
You
do.
got to keep it
You
loose.
definitely do.
Well, on the flip side, since it is the Halloween season, who's the scariest guy on the team? Maybe, I'm sure you guys are friends with your teammate, but who's the guy, maybe in between the lines, you're all right, stay out
Well,
of
when
his
we
way.
were reading outside linebackers or DNs, I don't want to be reading the guy over there. That's for sure.
I love it.
I know who the scariest coach is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's sitting back there and listening.
Yeah, he's right over there.
We know Mr. Adelizi quite well.
Okay, so you're in the huddle, right? Yeah. And who's the guy you got to say, shut up and listen? Who's the guy that's always talking in there?
It's been pretty good. It
Yeah,
has not
okay,
been. It hasn't been that
Yeah, that's
bad.
a good
actually.
answer for the
We-
That's a
QB.
good
That's a
answer.
good.
That's
We've
respect.
kept it. The huddle's been nice and quiet when I got in there. Before that, I don't know. They're all talking at the play before, but as soon as I get in there, they stay quiet and they listen to the
Ed with
play.
his trap questions, as always.
Mike-
You got to test the QB. That was a good answer.
Mike, you have dinner before the games, like Thursday usually, right?
Yeah.
Pasta parties or whatever. Who's the guy that you don't want to get behind because there's not going to be anything left?
To be honest, that's a hard question because we have so much
So much food. Right?
yeah, so much food, and all of our linemen are we
Well, then
average.
who eats the most?
I have to say, it's either Jaden Hazovic or Anthony Iguana.
They both
It's one
want
of them
him?
two. It's one of them two.
they can eat. They can eat.
I always love when the question is no, it's our 5'8", 150-pound backup corner who eats all the food, because every once in a while we get that as an
You know
answer.
who else can eat too, Ryan?
Who?
Logan.
Oh,
That
yeah,
kid can eat. Logan, he's 5'8", 160.
Probably around there.
It's always
Yeah.
those small guys.
Gotta love it.
Go ahead.
You good? You
Bob.
good through
Yeah,
your
we're good.
usual
We're
questions?
Good. We're
So,
good.
Triton Regional, that's a team from out of the area. Obviously, you guys don't know them. I'm sure you've been watching as much film as you can. What are some of the things you see from them that you're going to have to either attack, avoid, or whatnot, obviously without giving up too much of the game plan. But
Yeah.
what are some of the keys for you guys on Thursday night? Try to get a win and move on in this tournament.
Well, obviously, we don't really know much about the team. Like, watching film, I saw their D-line is a really good strength, so I would want to stay away from the D-line.
Yeah.
Don't when I roll out, I'm going to stay a little deeper in the pocket, not get hit by them. But their corners are pretty good. They play deep pretty well, so it's gonna be a tough one.
And Coach said, Mike, they have a good tailback who had over 1,000 yards last season, good quarterback too. And your defense has played really well all season. We mentioned the numbers before. I mean, the only team to score, more than 2 touchdowns on you was Mattawan in that overtime game. So do you look at this as a challenge for the defense? Hey, we got a good offense coming in. Let's continue playing the way we have been and, kind of help us get a victory?
Yeah, I take it as like it's not nothing we never played before because we played, for example, Madawan's running back was pretty good.
Yeah.
JoJo Bivens is really good. Julian Jones was really good. And we shut Barnegat and Monmouth down to, 14 points combined. And it's just that all we have to do is just do our job and we'll be fine. Just keep playing how we've been playing and we should come out on top.
You guys play any other sports besides football?
I do not. I
Just
used to
football?
play basketball. I wasn't.
How about you?
Wasn't invested. in it.
I play basketball and volleyball.
Basketball. Okay. So in terms of you guys want to play football in college, like what are your plans for the future in terms of athletics?
I'm honestly not sure yet. I obviously want to play. I don't know wherever I can.
But it's
would be
definitely
really
something you'd
nice.
wanna
It's-
do?
It's definitely something I want to do.
Now,
yes.
how about you? I mean, is football your main sport?
Yeah.
Playing in college something you'd be interested in?
I really want to go play college ball.
Good stuff. Well, guys, it's been great talking with you. Great insight onto your team. And, again, like we said before, also, like I said, Mike, you are our Ocean County Sports Medicine Player of the Week. So we have a $25 gift card to Burger 25, which is like right next door. So Mr. Williams will drop that off
Thank
to
you.
you right now. And, again, you guys, it's always nice for us to have different teams we don't talk about every single week, every single year on. We were kind of eyeing you guys for a couple weeks, so it's great to have you guys on and have on a team that is, playing great and on the rise. I mean, it's awesome to see Pinelands at 5-3, doing some great things. And as Coach mentioned, like this is only the start. Everyone hopes, and I know you guys have been trying to pass that down to the juniors and the sophomores. But again, great to see the success that you guys are having, and we appreciate you coming on and telling us about it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate
for having us.
Well, that's Ryan Allen and Mike Hall from the Pinelands Wildcats. They will go into the regional tournament this weekend, looking to pick up their 6th win this season. So we wish those guys well and thank them again for coming on. We'll come back. We got about 15 minutes left, talk some playoffs. A lot to talk about as we enter the postseason. So we say thanks to these guys from Pinelands. And we'll be back in a couple minutes on the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network.
Okay, they let me come back now. Thanks, guys. Welcome back to the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. Also want to give a shout-out. You know what? You talk about, there's been great support. Good to see my friend, the athletic director of Pinelands Regional, Will Sunderman, made the trip up here to show his support for his program. That's important. That's important. And good to see Will. And, guys, hey, by the way, those two guys were phenomenal. We always say this. We do this every week. And when the headsets come off, the first thing we always say is, boy, weren't those kids great? Yeah. And they were terrific. What great representatives of their program and their family. So congratulations to them on all they've accomplished. That was awesome. All right, so whether we like it or not, or whether I like it or not, the playoffs begin Friday, this weekend, Friday, Saturday. Most of the Shore teams playing on Friday. And, we're not going to sit here and break down every bracket because there are several in which there's just only one Shore Conference team. But I'll sort of do some generalizations with you, Bob, and Ed, of course, toss in your comments. We have said throughout this season it's been kind of a strange year where it's been very top-heavy. It's been those 3 or 4 teams or 5 teams, if you want to go 5, that have sort of been in that top 5 since September, while the bottom 5 has kind of moved around a little bit.
That it has.
So heading into the playoffs this weekend, what are the Shore Conference teams that have at least the best chance of winning a sectional? Let's start with the sectional championship.
Well, you have the 3 teams that earned number 1 overall seeds in their respective super sections. So that would be Toms River North, which was the overall number 1 seed in South 5, which then gets split into South and Central. So they're the number 1 seed in South Jersey Group 5. Middletown South, which is the number 1 seed in Central Jersey Group 4, and then Point Borough, which is the number 1 seed in Central Jersey Group 2. They were all number 1 seeds respectively. They're 3 of the top 4 teams in the Shore Sports Network top 10. So right away, those teams have certainly a leg up on the competition, you'd say. And then you also have Raritan and Rumson right there, the 1 seed and the 2 seed in South Jersey Group 2. You got to like their chances right there. So those 5 teams right off the bat stick out to me.
And let me just add this: being number 1,
it's a good chance that RBC could be a 1 seed, right?
They
in
could.
B, in
That's
yes.
yes.
Parochial B.
Yeah.
We'll touch on that next week. But they absolutely could.
What I was going to say is, of course, the big advantage there is you're home for as long as you win.
The whole way.
And through the sectional, not just till the final. You get the sectional championship game you can play in your home field, which, as we saw last year with Point Borough, was not only was the atmosphere incredible, it's a nice advantage to have in a game like that.
Exactly, especially when some of the teams are traveling a little bit of a distance.
Very true.
Not everyone comes on a charter bus. Some of them are on school buses making those trips. So those would be the ones you feel the strongest that have a pretty good chance to win sectional titles.
Interesting, Kevin, that the tough division, the American, all 6 teams there in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all
No,
6.
Well, Wall is in the region.
Wall did not make it.
Oh, that's right.
So
They're in the regional, right?
Wall was
Excuse
in the
me.
top 16
They had the one win.
in the PowerPoints, but new
They
for this
moved
year,
them.
one of the new rules the NJSA is you have to have at least 2 wins to qualify.
That's right.
But in terms of PowerPoints,
Oh, that's right. Excuse me.
But
Yes.
that's going to happen because of the nature of the divisions. We won't
Yeah, they
wax
only had the
poetic
one.
on that. But point taken. It's a very good division.
Yeah.
Manalapan 3
It's a
and
real
6,
good
and,
division.
and they're in the playoffs as a 6 seed, no less.
And we only have, interestingly enough, we've had years where we've had many. We only have 2 games where Shore teams go head-to-head, right?
And that's Monmouth Regional at Rumson in South Jersey Group 2, and then Manalapan at Jackson, and I believe that's South Jersey Group 4.
4, yeah.
So, there are not a lot of Shore versus Shore matchups. So that's a little bit different from that perspective, but I don't think it's a bad thing because more of a chance for our teams to get through, technically.
Bob?
Rumson moved down, didn't they, from 3 to 2?
Rumson has gone back and forth. Yes,
yeah.
they were in 3, then
Yeah.
they were in 2, and
Right.
that's happened to them over the years.
Yeah, they're an example of a team that doesn't have a sparkling record but could make a playoff run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the best. You're going to find a better 4-4 team in the playoffs?
No.
I mean, there might be, but you're talking about 1
Yeah.
or 2 other teams.
Yeah.
They're dangerous. If Rumson wins that section, will either of us be surprised?
No.
No, exactly.
Never.
That's what Rumson
Not
does.
the least bit. That American division was so loaded. Those teams are just
Rumson's 4 losses are to number 1, RBC, number 3, Middletown South, number 5, Donovan Catholic, and the other
Toms
team-
River North.
And Toms River North. And number 2, Toms River North. So, exactly.
Yeah, strength of schedule carries something.
Yeah, a lot of other teams would be 4-4 as well.
Yeah. Bob. I mean, nobody is more invested in high school football during the summer and fall. So, the conversations you've had with coaches, are they generally in favor of this new format, this whole new direction we're going in, where we're playing to group champions and the way the teams are split and all of that?
I think it's situation dependent. I think if you're a team that has a realistic chance of winning a group championship, not just this year, but like at some time in your history, there are certain teams that maybe you have that one special year, but like you're probably not going to get to that point. Like it's the reality. So those schools, and I'm not saying this is a blanket statement, but those schools might be like, yeah, we don't really care. But a Toms River North, a Middletown South, a Point Borough, teams like that, even teams that maybe not this year, but are traditionally in that conversation, yeah, they're going to be for it because you want to have the chance to play for that. And then I think there's the teams that are maybe in lower divisions that are just trying to build up and find some success. Like, I don't think they care either way because it doesn't affect them yet. They'll have an opinion on it at some point.
Yeah.
So I think it's split or fracture. I think there's people that are for it, some people that aren't adamantly, and then the people that are like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter to us. So personally, I like it because I think you should play down to a state champion.
Oh, definitely.
We're one of the only states that doesn't do it.
I
It's
definitely
like the
believe
joke.
that, but I just don't like the way they get there.
Yes, but you're
The way they're seated, you know?
well, the way they're seated in terms of the super section, I
Right.
don't mind that because it eliminates one team having a juggernaut section and the other team having an easy section
Yeah.
based off geography. Like, that doesn't seem like it's fair to win a sectional title every year because you just happen to be, located where there's not the rest of the good teams. Meanwhile, this other section, you got to run the gauntlet just to
Yeah.
get to the final. I prefer the balance. Same way the divisions are. Let's give the best teams the opportunity to be there instead of putting them all in one section just because of geography. But I know I might be in the minority on that.
Yeah.
Okay, Toms River North. Let's take them first. If they win a sectional title and then get beat in the semifinals, successful season or not?
I say no.
I say no also.
That you have to. That's a question you have to ask them. I would say yes, only because it's a team that is still extremely junior and sophomore heavy. And if they would have won a sectional title last year, I would say yeah, it would be a disappointment if they didn't go another round further. That's a team that was extremely young last season, lost in heartbreaking fashion in the sectional championship game. So, and they might have to play Kingsway again.
Yes.
So I'd say you win a section at success, and then you try to add more.
Yeah.
Now, they're capable of winning it all, so I could see why you'd say it's be disappointed. Maybe they feel differently, but I would say, no, you won something you didn't last year. It's still a championship that's successful.
I think we have to be careful not to buy too much into win everything or else.
Or it's not diminishing the
Exactly.
They're 9-0 and scoring 50 points a
Listen,
game.
Toms River North, Red Bank Catholic, Point Borough, Middletowns, those teams have had tremendous football seasons.
Ocean in there.
Yeah, Ocean for sure, undefeated. Anything they win, and I use the word win. So let's say a sectional title. Man, oh man, I mean, that's a dream. I mean, there are teams in the Shore Conference that have never, ever, ever won a sectional championship ever since the playoffs began.
It's a big deal still.
You got to treat it as a big deal, and it should be celebrated. And if you do get beat after that, oh well. It might be a little tarnished, but it shouldn't ruin your season.
I completely agree. Got to celebrate the accomplishments, and that's what we do. We look more on the positive side of things. But I understand if you're a team like Toms River where you feel like you can go all, and they've told us that, here in person. They feel like they accomplished it. But I don't think they're going to be disappointed if they don't win at all.
Yeah.
If they didn't win a sectional championship, maybe I could see that. But I think any team that's a top seed would be because they feel like they can win
Exactly.
it. Middletown South, Point Borough, Rumson, Raritan, Ocean, like those teams believe they can win it. So if you don't, you're going to be disappointed. Now, it's hard for us to quantify the level of disappointment.
Yeah.
They know
Yeah.
that within the program.
I agree with you.
And the teams that do win it have a chance to do something for the first time that nobody's done before.
And I think that's
to win an
that's
overall
why I like
state
it because that's
championship.
what those teams want. Look, there's teams that win a sectional title that maybe, wow, we never expected this. Everything else is gravy. But then there are teams that win that and they say, yes, that was one of our goals, but we can win this whole thing. And now they have that opportunity, which is great. How many years have you said, man, if only Middletown South could play
so
Cherokee? Well, now you have that opportunity.
Wow.
You could get a Cherokee, Millville, something like that. Hamilton versus Middletown South final.
Listen, I agree with you in this sense. I would mock the fact that at the end of the year, there were 22 or 23 teams that could get varsity jackets and put on
20.
it.
It would be 20.
Sectional champion. State champs. They would put state champs. 20 teams could do that. Okay.
And two
now
pro.
it's down to 7. You got group 1, public school, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 2 parochial divisions. That's it. And the teams that win it this year, it'll be especially noteworthy because you will always be the first,
and
right?
which is it's special, extremely
It
special.
is special.
And it is hard to win championships, divisions, sectionals. It is very hard to win a group title. And if you can do that on the football field, I mean, that's a special. That's one of those, we'll be talking about this team for the next 30 years type of thing,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
That's what high school football is all about, that nostalgia. And you win a group title, and you're a legend.
Every sport, we come down to the Final Four. We made the Final Four,
Yeah.
and then it's all gravy after that. Well, think about it. Every group this year, there will be a Final Four. The four win,
Sectional
the
champions.
sectional champions, and they'll play each other. So there'll be specific Final Fours in each group. I think it's exciting.
And with the Tournament of Champions going away in the
Right.
sports that traditionally played it, now you look at every sport plays down to group champions. It's the way it should be.
Yep.
It was a weird quirk of football where it was in the state athletic association constitution that you can play with the group
Yeah.
champs. Look, the cat's not going back in the bag because they worked really hard. A lot of our Shore Conference guys too, Dave Ryan, Rich Carroll, to get this to happen. So now we're here, and I'm excited for it. I really am.
Well, it all starts this weekend. It'll go for the next, 5 weeks, right? 5 weeks?
I mean, you're talking
First
a
weekend
month,
in December.
Yeah.
a month, it's 5 weeks,
Yeah.
of football.
It's a tournament. It becomes you're now in a tournament, and you lose, and your
You're out.
season is over. That's it.
This is where legacies are made of. This is where the history is made. The things we'll talk about next year, 2 years, 3 years, this is where it all happens. So this is exciting because
More importantly than us talking about it, these kids on these 7 teams that win it all this year, when they have their 20-year class reunion, you can bet that will be the biggest thing those kids talk about.
Of course.
That in 2022, they were the first Group 1, Group 3, whatever champion ever.
got to go all out for those rings.
There's
too.
only in one number. There's only a first time, one time. Special thanks again to our friends from Pinelands Regional, Coach John Tierney and their 2 outstanding seniors, Ryan Allen and Mike Hall, the people from Pinelands who made the trip up here to the office lounge. Of course, the wait staff here, second to none at the office, which has been Tom's River's place to meet and eat for since 1975.
Such a great spot, it really is. Like a community hangout that, we need more places like this. We really do.
I was here in 1975, my
So
friend.
was
I
I.
can tell you that.
So was
I was not.
Next week, we're back at MJ's in Neptune. Unfortunately, last week, for those that don't know, there was a power outage in the area. 50,000 people without power, and MJ's is one of the places that had none.
Ed's going to bring his generator next week.
Ed's
just
going to
in
bring
case.
his generator.
Just in case.
The
But,
plug.
of course, the 2 guys that pull it all together for us, Steve MacGyver Meyer and Tom Tremblay, appreciate their efforts. And that'll do it. We're back next Wednesday. Enjoy your football weekend. Keep it tuned to the Shore Sports Network. Follow Bob all weekend long on shoresportsnetwork.com for all the updates on the state playoffs. For my partner, Ed Sarluka, and, of course, Bob, I'm Kevin Williams. You have been watching the Varsity Link Coaches Corner on the Shore Sports Network. Good night, everyone.